1, 2, 3. Okay, we're rolling. Great. Okay. I would use my left ear pod so it wasn't annoying to all you guys, but I don't have my left one right now, so. And then we will share the screen. Entire screen. Yeah, you can. Make sure the picture's coming through. Okay. Yep. We're recording. Okay, good. Ooh, it's cinematic. Epic. Jerusalem Studio is also JS. Yeah, so I'm on the Jerusalem Studio account here. So yeah. Okay, so this is these XPression. XPression is our graphics engine. Don't close that. We need that. And we just bring this in here for testing later. Next one. Okay. Down in the bottom of the screen is the two applications. The first one is the main graphics XPression application. So we'll open that one. We're in version 11.5, just recently released. So this is how XPression will load. It'll actually load to two quick things. There's a layout view for editing, and then the sequence view for running a show. So this is where it'll load to when you first open XPression. I'm going to clear these out so these won't be default in here, but those are there right now. And then the second application you have to open is XPression Rundown Controller. This is how we get the rundowns from ENPS into XPression software. So this little window here shows all the rundowns in ENPS that are MOSed for the graphic software. So whatever the name of whatever rundown you're using will be here, and so you just have to check it, and then hit apply settings, and then there it is, and it pops in right here. So you'll see the show that you just put in, and all your graphics will be here below it. So if you don't check this box or hit apply settings, or it gets together, your graphics will not load into XPression, and you'll have no graphics. So that is a key thing to do. We'll get to the setup in ENPS later. Yeah, we'll do that later. So, and then if you want to clear something out, either you can unMOS it from ENPS or uncheck it and hit apply settings, and it goes away. You can tell if you have a MOS project in your XPression by the MOS logo here. One thing we have is that sometimes random ones pop in here, and it just kind of happens because we're all sharing the same MOS server. So even though we're not selecting it manually right here, some things will just still pop in here. And they just said it kind of happens. I don't know why. So no, they won't interfere. We can still run all of our graphics normally and everything. I mean, this takes whatever's in the EPS. So everything, and the black line applies. Yeah, if it's this will only show you what is above the black line actually in your show, not the extra elements below the black line. Yeah. So very basic there. On the left side over here, you have your scene manager right here. Oh, don't do that. Go back over here. There we go. Your scene manager. And we have three kind of main graphics. We have our JD Super, our JD Title, and then our FSG. If you want to just build, right now we're just going to build manually inside of XPression. So say you want a super, you just drag it over, and you can drop it anywhere in this window. Bloop, it'll drop there. Because this one is mossed here from VB, at some time frame, it'll actually clear this out because it's like, hey, this isn't in the moss right now. It'll take it out. So if there are other things here, make sure it's put in. I created one project or group called manual graphics. So make sure it's in here and not under a moss thing because it'll eventually just disappear because it'll refresh eventually and be like, oh, wait, that's not in there. Get rid of that. No, there's no way to get rid of this. Well, you can delete it, but I've tried this before. It pops back in later because it was already in here. It's something weird with the system. So just make sure when you drag a graphic over, you drop it into the manual graphics group. So, and each group has its own drop down arrow, so you can compress a group where you don't see anything in it, or you can expand it and you can see all the elements that are in there. So, whether I drag a whole list of things over here, the group grows, and then I can just minimize it all. For us, we pretty much only have one going. So this can be helpful if something else does get mossed in here. So let's just load Tuesday's 7 CI. And there's nothing in that one. Okay, let's load this pre-tape here. So say one, some other project is loaded, but there's things in it, you don't want it, you can just minimize it. So that way it's not taking up more real estate on your screen. But we'll get rid of this right now. Okay. So these two windows you should always keep open: the controller and the XPression window. So to get rid of something, you can just select it and hit delete and return. You can also control click to delete multiple things or select multiple things, and then shift also works, selects everything in the middle. So super, we'll start with the super. We'll drag it over to our manual graphics. And right now we just have a blank screen. If we look at multi-view 4 on the right over here, and the top right is our preview. That's what graphic is currently queued, is what they call it. So preview or queued in XPression. So it's not, well, it's just here. This is just a window so I can record it. But it's this monitor up here on the left. So yeah, this is always on. So the top right is going to be our preview or queued, what's queued in XPression. The bottom left over here, input 25, is going to be what's actually in the program. So if I bring up, just take this one online right now, and then you'll now see input 25 actually has what's in the program. I don't know why it keeps going out, it's weird. And so then if we dragged another element into the preview, now our preview shows the whatever one we have selected here. So I go, yeah. So I select this one. That means this is going to be the next one. Unfortunately, I can't label these windows up here. So top right is just going to be your preview, and the bottom right is your program. Program's not as important because we're going to see it here. But just so we have both here, because there are instances like if we turn off DSK2, there's actually something in the program, even though it's not showing up here, because DSK2, which we'll get into later, is not active. For the most part, DSK2 is always on. And then so that way your graphics, whatever's being sent from here, will always be going live to the program. Correct. For JD, it's all programmed in there, so it'll come on and off by itself. You don't have to worry about it. For any interviews you do, or other, any studio productions, yeah, it needs to be DSK2 needs to be turned on. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we'll select it here so it's queued, and then we'll hit take, and it goes to air. No, when you click on it, it's queuing it. So see how the program monitor changes. So whichever one you select here. Yeah, it was here's number 2. And so then if I go back to the other one, the full screen goes away, and now we're back to just the super. Yeah. Correct. It'll be exactly. Yep. Yep. See the red one there. Exactly. So yeah, you can keep that. As long as it's red, you're good to go. It means it's on. So next. That's the very. This will be a very basic one. We can do questions or go deeper later. I mean, either today or just in the future, and we can do other trainings that go deeper into building or creating or whatever. But this one's just kind of a more overview. Yes, correct. So for building, we've already taken our super and drug it over here to manual graphics. So it's here. Now in the bottom left, we have our take inspector options. So you've got take item, and this changes based on whichever item you have selected. So the options change. You can see that the name changes from super to FSG. The options are currently all the same, so nothing changes there. But if we go to super, take item, it just tells you the information. It's going to be in frame buffer 1. We only have one frame buffer here currently, meaning we only have one channel. So everything we do is in frame buffer 1. All of our graphics are set to automatically go to frame buffer 1, so you don't have to worry about that. If you use a graphic, as I'll show you later, from like a news preset or another show, they will by default generally not be frame buffer 1. So that'll have to be changed manually. That'll be a level 2 operation, so don't worry. There's also below frame buffer, there's layers. So if you look at the output monitor over here, there by default it shows layer -3 to +3. And the higher than layer, so like 3 is going to be your highest layer, and then 2, 1 is how the layering works. So if you have something on layer 3 and you list something else on layer 2, you won't see what's on layer 2 because layer 3 is on top of it. Unless it's like, you have unless they're in different parts of the screen. So maybe layer 2 was a bug down here, but layer 3 was something over here. Those will be fine because they're not overlapping. But if you have a full screen graphic over something that's smaller on layer 3, the higher the layer, the more forward it's going to be on the screen. Yeah. Just lock that guy. Oh, hey, that's not wrong with that. If you ever have an issue, you can go to display and well, reset docking layout. Yeah, there we go. And it'll just reset it. I like running this window over here. These are the thumbnails of what's coming up. So you can see as I select them in this view here, they also select here. So you can either run it here. This way you have like a visual cue of what it actually is, or you have the text view of what it is. Either one, you can run it from either place. You double click on it, it goes live. Same with over here. If you double click on it, it also goes live. So to take something offline with a mouse, you have to right click and hit take offline. There's no like double click option for taking it offline. Yeah, the controls have those. So okay, back to building. So JD Super. If we look down under we just take item, transition. All of our graphics are currently set to dissolve with a fade at 10 frames. So we have our in, and then we also have our out, and they're both set to the same thing. So if you wanted something to cut, you could change it to cut. You could do distort. You can go pixelate here, and now when I hit take, it doesn't do anything. I'm on the out. Thank you. Distort, pixelate. We'll take it offline first. Oh, see, there it is. Not too long. No. So, but currently we're using all default dissolve fade at 10 frames. And then we have template data. Oh, there we go. Okay. So now we have the template data tab, which we'll get to next. And then scene control is something we won't play with right now. That's definitely a more advanced feature, probably level 3. This is geared towards more like animation, or not animation, but automation. Yeah. So template data. These are the options we have for changing this graphic. These are available here as well as in ENPS. So the same options you see here, you'll see in ENPS for editing and creating graphics all in ENPS. For the most part, for any show, all the graphics will be made in ENPS. If we're doing like this morning, these 2 interviews in the studio, this is where you'll just probably create the graphics here because it's just one super, and then you'll just run it from XPression directly, as opposed to like having to create a rundown, build it in there, and then moss it, send it to here, and then select it. And it's just easier to build one-off interviews here. So we have first line header. These are the objects you can affect, and then we have the value. So you just select the line you want, and then your text box is here. So you click in there and you type whatever you want. My preference is to type in caps, just because what you type is gonna show up here, and it's just easier to see what text is easily on it if you type it all in caps from this view here. So this is our demo day. So there's your title, and you'll see in this content here, it shows up here. There's also 2 additional asterisks. If I take this out all together, there's now 3 asterisks. So each asterisk is divided by a bar, and that's because there's 3 asterisks because we have 3 options for us to edit in this graphic. So I'm gonna edit 1. Okay, that's cool, whatever. Now there's one, it shows the text here, and then 2 asterisks. If I go to headline 2 and say this is title 2, now you'll see there's only 1 asterisk left because we haven't filled in the body text at all. For going to no. Title 2. That's a great question. It's broken. No, it's supposed to pop up right there right away. There it is. The layer was turned off in the master file. So now it should be there. There it is. So that's fixed. You don't have to worry about that. That's level 5 class. Correct. We don't normally, but the option is there to do it. So like if you have a title or you want a subtext, if you have a lot of information for the graphic, it's an option that's there. Yeah, good question. So we take it out, it adjusts all automatically. So the moment you put something here, even a period, it'll adjust. At the top, that's just how. I mean, even if you look at our current full screen graphic, that's how it is. Yeah, yeah. I took this straight from Premiere, and exported it PNG and brought it into here. So it's exactly the same as our other graphic. So that is how this works, and then you can see your preview here of what you're building. So as you type, it'll load there. I built the FSG with the bug in the graphic. The bug is the same placement as the bug that's run on TriCaster, so it is not an issue. It's not going to shift or whatever. But I built it there so that as you're building your graphic, you can know what it's going to look like with the bug there. So you're like, oh, okay, that's too much text. I gotta take some text out. There you go. And so as you type it, as you see, it shows up almost instantly in your preview monitor there, which is also your preview monitor here on the top right as multi-tour. So it's the same. That preview is this preview here, exactly the same. is actually pulling it from that input there. Go back to the super. Oh, so that was FSG. So now on the super, we have three items also. We have a top line. So here again, as you can see, I like typing in all caps so that it's easier to see up here in the manual if you're looking at it. You do not have the option. It is automatic. Boom. It just goes away. So as soon as you cross the threshold, it goes away. So all automatically. Yep. And then you can do your second line. This is my title. There you go. And as these all adjust, like if this gets too long, it'll actually make the text smaller and smaller. So I would advise not doing that small. Same also with the top line. Just how it got rid of JD, it'll also start making it smaller. So it'll never go outside the graphic. It'll just make it smaller and smaller and smaller. So we also have a third option here for the live button, the little live bug. But I've generally been running that as a separate bug. Here we have one called VB clock and live. So I don't think this is there in case you wanted to use it. VB has it that way, but we're currently running ours through our own little icon here, sequence icon. So that works the same way that your single layers work together. Correct. So this one, if you look over here under layer, wow, it's so hard for me to look at there because there's like the mouse is like delayed. They're all under frame buffer 1 because that's our one channel we have. But here you'll see the super and the FSG are on layer 0. Yeah. So if I bring it online, watch the this area here, the output monitor. Yeah. Well, okay, let's not do a full screen graphic. Let's do a super. So the super now is here loaded on layer 0. It shows you what's on the layer when it's online. Take it offline, it goes away. Because that's the predefined layer we have it set to. It's kind of arbitrary where you put it. We're just most of ours are on layer 0. Now the clock here and the live button are actually on -3. So if I bring them online, you'll see now there's two things on our output. Layer -3 is our clock, and layer 0 is our super. I set the live and the clock as the lowest layer in the chain, so that like when we bring in an FSG, I didn't want to have the text and FSG keep going higher and higher, and our real estate smaller and smaller. So when you go FSG, if you look over here, you can see that the VB clock is still online. Yeah. But because there's a layer above it that takes the full screen, it hides whatever is below. Yeah, if we put the bug on there, it's going to come up like to the bottom of the second line or the line before above things. So it's just going to take away our graphic, or text might be under it. Yeah. So I build it so that it doesn't run into that. And as soon as we take the FSG offline, everything's still there. So. Well, so the live is there, but the bug will normally be run from the TriCaster. That's why it's not there right now. Yeah, the bug we're running through TriCaster currently. We use this for YouTube Live. So it's got the time, it's got the live bug, and that's what this is for. We don't use it for our show because it's not live. No, I know, but yeah, you got an element over here called VB clock. So you just drag it to your sequencer, and now it's here. You can change it from VB time to Israel time if you wanted to. Now, if one of these units is already online, when the graphic is already online, which this one is, you notice I changed it, but nothing changed on the graphic. Yeah. So you actually have to, as long as it's selected again, just hit take, and then it'll change. It takes the change, exactly. Because this one is Israel time, we would want to remove ET. So I can do that and then hit take again, and now the ET is gone. But I just figured most of our audience is the US, so we'll just stream in ET time. So Generally, we won't change that either. Here you got that live logo again. So you can take it away if you want just the time. We could do either one. I don't have, you could type in Israel here, or I don't know. I'm not sure what we would type there. Currently, we're just doing ET mainly, so I just kind of ignored that. But yeah, if we're gonna do Israel time, we could just do it without this text. But to do that, I'll need to go and do some formatting so that the time will like shift centered. But or if we wanted to say Israel somewhere or somehow like that. But you can also do it without the time. You can do just the live logo by going to none. And so then it's just live. So like you don't need the time. If you're doing something like that, just throw the live up there. Gives an extra little like on your project. Yeah. So and then take offline. So and if you've messed up all your options here, and you're like, man, I just want to. How do I get back to just delete the one that's here? And we'll delete. Yes. And then grab it and drag it back on. And now your default settings are all there. You bring it on. Everything's set to default. So. Correct. It's all the options you have for this one scene. So yeah, these are all, by the way, called scenes. Like, so you have an FSG scene, JD title scene, JD super. Oh, hey, we haven't talked about titles. So the whole thing. No, there is not an undo option. Go to what? Oh, up top? Yeah. There is, but as I found out in my training session, like the detail one, I was like, so I hit Control Z one time, it did something weird. He's like, yeah, it doesn't work like most programs. Like, and he didn't even know kind of how it functioned because there was a redo and undo, but it wasn't redoing or undoing changes that we were doing when we were creating. So it's kind of like the TriCaster. If you Control Z on the TriCaster, it's not undo. It does a command. So basically, Control Z and undo redo does not work in XPression how we're used to. Yeah. What? No one does that. Okay, so we'll drag the title over now. Drag it, drop it, and you can also place it exactly where you want it. If you want it, if you drop it in the main window, it'll drop in the bottom. So you can see there's two asterisks. So we have two options here. There's actually three. That's weird. Okay, so we have single line is the top line. You'll see it populating your preview monitors, and then we can go to the bottom line if you had a second line for it. This is the second line. So you'll see the first one actually dropped up or moved up once you have the second line. It's small, but it's just a little bit so that it gives more room for that second line to be in there. Most of our titles, we just use one. But like this would be helpful, like, if you're doing a website or you wanted a little bit more information, you could do two lines like this, Most of our titles are just going to be just one. Yeah, verses or quotes or other things like that. Correct. Yeah. Same thing with the size. It'll just get smaller and smaller. So obviously that's going to be really hard to read. So I would recommend not doing that. But you have the option. Yeah, it squishes it. It doesn't change the height of it. It just changes the width of it. Yeah, I was playing around with it. When you change the height and width, then it just gets really small. Correct. The VB Supers, they do it so that it only adjusts the width. So I just kept their same format, and they do where it just squishes it. Yeah. So this is your question. You said, hey, sometimes it gets kind of small. And this is why. So the goal is to have, so that it doesn't fill up the whole thing and start to get smaller. But at times you're like, hey, I need that extra word in there. So you gotta add the extra word just so it makes sense. I The size of what? It's the size of our uh current supers, current titles. So if you pull up CB News from like the TriCaster, or from the editor in Premiere, I match their size. Most of these I exported from Premiere, brought them into here, and then matched the size of all of our current graphics. Not not as an operator, no, no. Yes. Yeah. 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 CBnews.com. Yeah, that's gonna be a title. So yeah. Um, Correct. And you put the topics up there at the bottom or the questions. That's Yeah. The way we use titles in every show is the cbnews.com, or if there's a tag and then we're going to talk about someone's website, that's also a title. Just because it's formatted slightly differently than a super is going to be. Delete our super. Yeah. So if we drop in our super info here and bring it online, it's going to be a little bit smaller, more geared for that second, a title. Correct. Correct. Yeah. So there's our normal super there. But if we bring in the title, it's a little bit more pronounced. So I guess visually, if we put in, and take that one, that's what we normally use. That's the one we use every show. Correct. Um, and I've set it so that our graphic is centered. VBs are all left aligned, so their title graphics are all left aligned. Ours is centered, so we don't, which I think we all prefer. Yeah. So and same thing here. As it gets longer and longer, it'll start to shrink as well too, but it'll remain centered inside of the super. None of our titles have JD. Oops. No, you're. There we go. None of our titles have JD. I removed it from it because if you put that up there, then the center doesn't work so well because it gets really, and it also gets really close to JD really quick. So the JD title that has no Jerusalem Dateline brand name, but the super will have it as long as I. Um, Correct. Whatever selected. Yep. So if you're editing something, it's yep. Yeah, you'll see as soon as I hit it, it changes there, and you can bring it in. One thing, like if you're editing something, you can just know that to edit it, it has to be selected. So if you're editing it and you're, like, no, I can edit it now. It's live, but it won't take the effect until I hit take. Well, you're right. Yeah, so if I change it now, nothing happens. Yeah. Hold on. That's no, you can use it in either one. Well, you can edit while it's live. I can do whatever changes I want to, but they're not reflected live. So, but because I'm editing it, it means that that's still the one selected. So as soon as I hit take, the changes are there. Correct. So you can see the changes here in the preview. If I removed all that text right there, it's all gone. So now it's just previewed, but because it was already online, the changes are not reflected live online. And then I can take it and then it changes it right away. Um, and yes, that's basic operation. Any questions about any of those questions? What questions do you have? Okay. Um, of course. So it's all recorded in Teams. So I mean, I'll download the video also and probably upload it to our the YouTube channel, so it'll still be there, the whole thing. I also put up the full 3-hour XPression training that VB did with me. That's on the YouTube channel, so you can watch a whole 3 hours, which goes into. I'm just going to show you this. Yeah, I'm just going to show you this, just so you know what we had going on here. But this is a much deeper level. If you want to learn it, I would love for you to learn it. So let me know. But this is how the supers are built. You've got 2 JD bars here. One is with the super, or one with JD and one without. And then those are all built through our kind of logics here of disappearing and reappearing. So that's the bottom line. Like this one here says, once the width of the box, the text box reaches 965 pixels, then I'm going to use the just the L3 bar layer, which removes JD. So those are all built through here. This is called visual logic, which is how you do all the kind of automation stuff and shifting of lines and text, and single line will move up once there's a second line and all that. Eventually, one thing I haven't learned yet. Well, let me show you from the new supers. Let's load this here. Yes. So here we have access to all of CB and News's supers. They have a lot on here. On their L3 host is what they call theirs. They have kind of a split view here, as you see. Instead of doing one full text box, they have a drop-down box. And this has a whole lot of predefined people. So eventually our graphic will have, Chris, Julie, Chuck, John, like people we use frequently will be here. So all you do is you click on their name and it pops in right there. And then you go to the bottom line and this drops down, you just hit title. And then as you hit title, it drops in their title. Correct. You have to select both. So then, but you don't have to type it. You don't be like, oh, did I spell it right or check it? I hate spelling correspondent. I have to check it every single time I type it in. Sorry, Susan. But hey, Lisa, check it. What? Misspell it where? No. I mean, these will all be checked before, so these won't be wrong. No. What most of the time, if you're editing things, no, it won't. The one thing you should never hit is this green save button here, because this will publish it to Virginia Beach. And if you've made changes to their project, so right now if you're in the layout view, which is F, you can hit F3 to get to layout view. Any change you make here, if you were to save it, if you just save it, it saves it to the project locally on this computer. But if you hit the green button, then it sends it to the XPression server, which then anyone who uses XPression will have the changes that you made. This is just saving it locally. But generally, with the news one, we don't want to save anything if we're in the news. So here you can see the project we're in is news. This one we don't want to ever save to it. And we for sure don't ever want to publish it, because then when we're first doing this, VB runs everything off of 1080i. We run our graphics in our studio off 1080p. They've been I for years. That is what they're at. I chose to go with P years ago because it's just a crisper, more sharp look. Right. But it did cause us some issues where we can't just use their graphics package. We have to recreate all the graphics for us, which is harder on me. It makes a lot more work and time for me. Because if we were running an I, everything they have here, 100% would work for us straight out of the box. The problem is when we use their things, some of their elements, we haven't figured out why, look pixelated. That's where if we bring in like the super, exactly. Oh, this is where it's in a different frame buffer 2, so we gotta change it to 1. If you look at the bug and the text, it just isn't clean. Yeah. Recreate all of our graphics for us. So that's where I haven't built, all these preset titles here, because this is like level 10 and I haven't gotten there yet. So I've been customizing, building, and tweaking, and all this other stuff. So, well, I think they would, but they have a huge. Well, CBN is a huge operation, and they move slowly for one thing, and I think once if they get new cameras or something like that, or some big new purchase, they might switch over. Right now, everything's I, and so there a lot of older equipment will not run on P because it's a higher bit rate. And so back in the day when they started in 2014 or something like that, no, 2010, 2009, with HD, interlace was a thing, and P wasn't really a thing because it was a much higher bit rate.
Right.
And so a lot of older equipment doesn't run progressive. Even all the Black Magic is all run interlace, and it runs on something called SDI level A, which is what we had to discover.
Yes.
We couldn't plug a camera into our system because it wouldn't recognize it. But you can go in the software, plug a USB cable into the converter, and change it to level B, which is a higher bit rate, which will run P. But so even SDI or Black Magic is standard is interlaced. So anyway, so we'll get rid of that. Yeah. Oh, no, so when we were first doing this, we were testing things out, and we actually published this back to the server, and then I think that afternoon or the next morning, there were 2 shows that day that couldn't run graphics, and I was like, was that from us? And he was fine because he was walking me through everything. We were doing it together, and neither of us realized that when we changed one of these settings to try to convert the project to P to see how that worked. We never changed it back. So when we published it, we changed everybody to P, but everything there was interlaced, and so no one could use graphics. They got workarounds for all their shows, and they were good, and then they figured out what it was. But anyway, so yeah. So you can load our project by clicking the drop down area here and going to JD Graphics, and no, we don't want to save. And then our project is loaded here. So most of the time, your view that you'll be in, unless you're creating something, like not just adding text, if you're creating a graphic or changing a graphic or whatever, all your work will pretty much always be in the sequence tab, this view here, because this is where you have access to all of your graphics, but they're not, the only way you edit them is you're only editing the text when you drop it in. The only options you can edit are these 3 options down here in the bottom, or however many options are here. So 99% of the time, this is the view that you'll run in. If like a text box gets messed up, or I want to create a text box that's actually over in this position of the screen, not that's centered here, I want it to be right justified. Those are things you have to go in the layout. You change them here, change the formatting, save, and all of that. But 99% of the time, and when the project opens, it'll open into this sequence view here. Over here? This one? This is status log. I think that when the news project opens up, I think it's set to open up with some preset with a news project. So if there's an error or something, it'll show you the error here. Oh, there probably was an error. That's what it was. This opens up when there is an error. So there was some error in the previous news project, some graphic probably not being there. Watch up there. News, no. So yeah, see, there's an error. So the status log pops in to be like, hey, there's an error. I can't find this graphic here. It's not affecting us because it's not one we're using, so it's not a big deal. So we'll just close it. But that's why that window opened. Our graphic project is called JD GFX. So, I guess quick overview. You just to delete something, you can select it. If you select it over here in this manual graphics, you're actually changing the name of the title or the slug of what it's called, which only affects it inside of this window here. You're not changing the main graphic or sequence names over here. So not scenes, sorry. These are called scenes. You're not changing the scene name, you're just changing it for inside of the actual rundown that you're using for the show. Yeah. To delete it, you just select it and hit delete. It's on the keyboard. Yeah. You can also right click and the bottom hit delete and delete it that way. Right clicking, you have a whole lot of other options you can do. If you're doing, maybe say you get 2 interviews coming up or 2 shows and you want some different graphics between them, you can either right click and hit new group, or you have this new group option right here. You create new group. You can double click and change it to second group. Yeah, but for interviews like that, I would you can just put them all in the same one. It's not a big deal. But so like this, you probably won't use much. When you do a new rundown, it will it makes it as a new group for you. There's nothing there. What's going on? Let's pull in this pre-date here. Yeah, and sometimes they don't connect at all. That's when we really love it. But it was weird. The gateway was green, so I'm not sure why it wasn't working. But now it's red, so somewhere lost connection. Correct. The XPression rundown controller. So yeah, right now, so we lost connection to the MOS server right now. So right now we can't do any graphics from ENPS. So if that happens, you might need to come in here and. No, I mean if it's not connected here, it's probably some Virginia Beach issue. It's not an ENPS issue. It's an ENPS server issue, which is all ENPS XPression. They connect to a server, so somehow it's lost the connection to the server. For our show, because of how basic it is right now, this is where I'd bring in a title and super. I put the super on top, and I'd call this Chris Mitchell. And so do his blah 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 title, cbnews.com. Because those are the 2 we use. So then during the show, you got this one, and you take it off, and then B block, and then C block, blah blah blah, and then D block for the close. That's kind of awkward. Oh, I put it in the bottom line, so we'll get rid of that. The top line, and you see no changes are affected yet. It's only a preview until I hit take. So like right now, it's JD super easy. If he's not there, it's just 2 graphics for our current show. And as you saw, I built that in like 15 seconds. So yeah. Now I will. Can you turn the? Well, I don't. Yeah, you turn on. Yes. Can you what? No, but that's where. No, that's where eventually. Decision is no. There'll be somewhat presets. So I go to sequencer. Yeah, because generally, unless you've made changes that you want to save, just always hit no. Because if you had done something you don't know you did, it would save the project and then, yeah. If you know you did a change you want to save it. If not, just always hit no, don't save. Well, so this is where it will be at. It'll be Chris. We'll have this drop down here to do it. Most of the graphics are built in ENPS. So you're not building graphics here. So we don't necessarily need the preset here. Because the only time you're going to build them here is if, as right now, there's no connection to the MOS gateway. But then in that case, you've got this drop down here, and we'll choose Chris Mitchell. We go to bottom line, we choose title, and there's his thing. It's ready. Oh, I gotta change my frame buffer. Correct. Most of it was guest, or someone else on the thing. Yeah, for an interview, we're not gonna use Chris. Yeah. So with that's something we could do. The idea was, I wonder if I can load. Yeah. No, ENPS you can have presets. So let me open this up here, and we will now switch to Okay, so I think that's all we have for XPression here. Now we will transition to that's a level. Operator error or error. uh, ENPS operation. So we'll minimize all these. I'm going to bring it up over here. Sorry. ENPS open this for me. Oh, okay. So right now, I think our training is on pause because I have no ENPS access over here. It can't contact the server. Ah, love it. So let me. Well, let's see when here. Yeah, he'll let you know when he's ready. Let me bring up. Uh, oh, hey, he just finished the podcast. Yeah, I just say hey. Oh wait, we have a bigger problem. Doesn't the word what? No. Okay, so I'm gonna be working on that computer there, the director PC. Um, oh, that's cool. Okay, so here we go. Um, okay, I was just noticing that I'm yeah, I'm my what's weird, my computer says I'm not connected. It says no internet, but yet I can join a Teams call. I can search the web, so there is some network issue happening right now. Probably is. They might have made some change. Okay. Pause this. No, no. Yeah. Okay. I think I can show you some things here. Let's see if this works. Um, no, oh, so you can see it. Yeah. No, go to the TriCaster input 23. Go bank 2. Go to ES2. Oh, I'm not running it here. Let me I can run it. Okay. Yeah. So we will have to postpone the rest of the meeting. Oh wait, hey, it loaded. Okay, at least I can load it here. That's good. So this is how graphics are built inside of ENPS. Um, the bottom right here, you got a little gear kind of icon. It's called MOS. It's the same icon as when you go to the production tab and you have MOS control. The same icon. Correct, and it'll take 5 to 10 seconds for it to load. So just click it once, and then you just gotta wait. Um, say what? Oh, sorry. Yes. Uh, yeah, MOS is saying you have to have JSON prompter and MOS gateway for XPression. We're gonna. I've asked VB to update templates, but they haven't replied to me yet. So eventually, we're gonna update the templates. So when we do a new template, new show, both of those will just by default be selected. Right now, the gateway for XPression is not selected. So that has to be selected manually before you run it. Correct. 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 Yes, this will mainly be Susan building this. And we've got a couple things on the left tab over here. We have an edit tab, clips. We're not using clips. We have graphics, so it just shows you all the graphics available in our template. So this is the JD GFX project. This is what all the scenes are in that project. The main two we're going to use are, we can, I think, shrink all these down, are just L3 and FSG. Those are the mains we're going to use for our show. If we're doing, YouTube live, I would put this VB clock in the opening. So that way it's there in the project and we can just run it when we're ready for it. But mainly JD Super, title, and FSG is where we're at. No, this view here just shows you everything that's available to you from the project, our JD GFX project. So you can't, right? That's what you can use. So it just everything that's there is exactly what's in XPression on that left panel. And once we drag it in, we can. Well, if you want to do a title, hold on, me. Cancel that. Okay, so we'll double click on our title, and use double. Can you see quick? Yeah, just double click on it, and then it loads these graphics, these options here. So you have single line top text, single line bottom, and live logo. And if you remember, that's exactly the options we had in XPression. So those same options are here. We can type in here, top line, and there it is. And then single line bottom, it loads there. So you can see your preview right here. If you wanted to, you can drag, you can click floating window, and then you can make this preview window as big as you want. You can drag it to a second monitor so you can see it on a different monitor. When you hit the X, it drops back into its default position here. You don't do anything, it just pops back to its default position. As you're adjusting the text here, if you give it a few seconds, it'll pop up in your preview. You can see it. Once you're satisfied with your graphic here, you click in your script where you want it to go. So if I want to be, I'll make 2 returns, and now this is where my cursor currently is. And when I hit add to story, it jumps to where my cursor was. So it's kind of important to make sure, if you're adjusting things and you've moved down further in your script, that you go back to where you want it to be, click there, and then hit add to story. Yes. So you can, yes, okay. So you can click on it once, and it'll select it. And then the easiest way to do it is to click and drag it. So you can either drag it down to the trash can if you want to delete it. That's the easiest way to delete something, is do that. Or you can move it up here, and wherever your cursor is, it'll drop it right there. So then you can click again and drag it down. Selecting, editing these things is a little weird. So that's why if you can right click, you can sometimes find a copy, edit, cut menu. But as you can tell, it's really challenging. There it is. So I found the best option is to just select it once, and you can drag it around. Also, deleting, this works way better. You can Control C. Oh, okay, right now there's no web server right now. The one thing you cannot do is cut it. You can't use Control X. So you really have to just cut it here if you can find that option. But copying does work with Control C. With Control C. Yeah. Yes. So because they're both needed for the open. So it doesn't matter where they are inside of this script here. They can be anywhere, and they'll show up inside XPression in whatever order they're in. So even though they're yeah, so this would be graphic number 1, graphic number 2. Exactly. Yeah. But now whether this JD Israel here is right after Chris Mitchell, or if I drop it here, it's still graphic number 2.
Yeah.
So it's still going to show up in the same position for the graphics. And these slugs here, these placeholders for graphics, do not show up in the teleprompter. So even though it's in the middle of the text, Chris will not see this at all.
Right.
It'll just be the text will still be straight through for Chris. So it's not it's not the cleanest way to do it here. So I would click it and move it up so it's not in the middle of the text, but it's not going to affect his view.
Only us.
Correct. And as long as the order is correct in here, the order will be correct in XPression. And the other critical thing is once you do this, you have to save it. If you don't hit save, none of the graphics will be sent to XPression, which is just like your script. If you make a change to your script but don't hit save, it's not going to your prompter. So if you make a change to a graphic or add a graphic or change the order of the graphic, but don't hit save, it's not going to go to your XPression. So it's pretty straightforward on that part. If you want a super, you can double click on your super. You can put your super information in, bottom line, top line. This is also where once we get that drop down menu working that we showed you, this will also be right here too. It'll be a drop down for Chris or whatever names we have. Yep. Here again is where I also like to type in all caps. So same reason as there. Yeah, so let me just, how this works. So I'm going to show you, kind of skip a step. Say the super here. Something's not right with it. For me, I want it to be all caps for his name, just so I can visually see it bigger here. Because you see it's kind of small. JD Super's caps, and then I feel like Chris Mitchell gets lost because it's lowercase. The graphics, FSG, super, title, whatever, they're always all going to be all caps. But just this visual here takes from whatever text is typed in here, whatever lowercase, uppercase, it takes that font style, whatever. So if I double click on a super, you'll see it loads down here, but now you got 2 red bars. So now you're in edit mode, and we're editing whichever one we double clicked on. So all I'm going to do is just change this to all caps. I had to retype it.
Hey, is there a way to just do all caps?
Not here. But this will be if you're typing in a super. We don't use any default super we use a lot. It'll already be presets for that, so you don't have to do that. This is only if you're typing in a new super that we don't, a different guest or a website or whatever. And it's not critical. It's only this caps inside the box only affects the look here. Exactly. Yeah. So it's not a critical step. No, this is strictly all the formatting for this is predefined inside of our editor that we create an XPression first. So now add to story is always where the cursor is. So if I bring the cursor here, exactly. So if I hit add to story, it's making a new super. So even though I started editing this one, if I hit add, it's going to make a new one. What you want to do is the 2 options over is do update. So let me just change this to all caps again. And if you watch this super up here, the slug, exactly, we're going to update it. We're taking notes here. Hold on. So when I hit update story, you actually see it update this super here. And now it updates it. So that's the difference between adding the story or updating story. So, and just like the other program, here you can go to visibility and turn on that live logo if you wanted the logo or whatever options are in the graphics. Yeah, so that's the operation. Now, there's no way to do presets or save presets in here. The only way we can do it is that, I'll just show you what we'll eventually hopefully go to. Um, let's cancel the edit. So it says we're still editing it, but we don't want to edit it. I want to do something new, so I'm just going to cancel edit. That way I'm not editing the item that's in here that I had previously selected. So now we'll do this host L3. What? Yes, I'll lose my changes because I know I'm moving to something else. So yes. So this is where there's those two boxes again. You can do the drop down, see all the names. Oh, hey. Bottom line, you have to select title. Middle East. Oh, wow. Check that out. Yeah. So eventually we'll have this option. This will be your like presets. It's, you still have to select two different things, but it's pretty quick and easy. You don't have to type anything. The other option we have, which is what we created for our, I'm going to put on your system, your login. You can do presets for each login. So my login, your login, my login currently in the browse tab under user. Oh, okay. So right now that direct computer is logged in under EMCham, so he has no presets, which is fine. We'll go to graphics. I'm going to change this to JD just because that's where we're currently in. If you need to change the a news graphic, you can do news here, but most time by default it'll just be JD. Right. So you don't need to worry about that. So we'll go to super. Yes, we'll change that, and we'll call Jonathan Goff. Someone doing something. There's a save button here. So we got save. Two options. You have save as daily item and save to a specific folder. We want to do a specific folder, and then we'll do user favorites, and this will be your name will be here. So we'll create all these in yours. In mine, I have like 6 already preset. Here again on the name, I would make it all caps so it's more visible. And then we'll hit OK. So it doesn't drop it into here or anything right now. But now if you go to your browse tab, this is where all your presets are going to be. You'll see here's your preset. So this is a way we can easily do presets. And if you hover over it, it makes it bigger so you can see it. To use it, you just click and drag it in your project. And there it is. So like but like I said, these are user based. So each user has to recreate these themselves. My plan though is I'm going to create one script that has all of our presets that we need, Chris, Julie, and then each user will open that, and then from there we can recreate these presets very easily for everyone. All you do, you go to the edit button, you go to edit, and you save it right there, and it's saved for everyone. So each user will do that. It'll take 5 minutes for each user to save those presets, but then each user has them, and those are found under the browse tab and under your user favorites. If you want a graphic from scratch, that's where you go. Either graphics or edit, either one. Edit's a little more user friendly because the edit tab's already here. If you go to graphics and you choose, click on one, it's just going to open up the edit tab anyway. So, yeah, I think by default it loads to the edit tab. Then the browse is where those presets will be that we'll create for each user. So. That's operation there. So like, okay, 110. Okay, so we opened up yesterday's JD. We're at 813. With our current view here, it doesn't show us any moss elements. So this is when we want to figure out whether we change the look of our JD so that it always shows a moss element. Currently, I have layout. I have a user layout that. Oh shoot, this is Yehuda's, so I don't have one. We'll add a column, and we'll look for moss, and we want moss item slug. We'll send it over. I like it being. This is the order of everything. So you think of it here, but just sideways. We'll save. and now it loads this Moss item slug line here. If you make it smaller, obviously your items will just expand so that all the text is still visible.
You know, I've been using the column that's been to the right of intro.
Yeah.
So that maybe I put it in the
Well, that's where you can create your. So once I have this view here, I can hit make this my layout. So then that'll be my default layout. Now each template saves a layout. So like JD, we could custom it how we want it. So I think adding this Moss item slug, and then you can still have your whatever column you have there, and we can save that to default. So anyone who opens that up, that rundown will be in that view. But anyone can go in here and be like, oh, I don't want this. And they can change it to their user by clicking on user, and it changes it to their user view. Yeah, yeah. So that's, I think the talent is what you're talking about. Is
Yeah.
when, yeah. So that's actually still there if we add this Moss item back. Yeah, it's cool and it's needed now that we're doing graphics in here.
And what I like about my stats everybody, oh, this still needs JD's.
Yeah.
This still needs something.
So we can select. Oh, wow. Hey, look at that. That's kind of cool. So there actually is a status field. There's my button, and then status. And it's yeah. So and that. Yeah. So this is where it's a longer conversation of like how do we set the default JD template view? So here I'll put you a status column. So you would tell them, but we can change it to be status. So it's just the heading is correct. You have your slug, which is important, I think, for you. So this shows you all the expression elements in here, all the graphic elements.
Right.
So this is a critical one to have in there now, because if there's something here you don't want, it's going to load in the program, and then the director is going to take it because it's going to be in the flow and the order. This is yesterday's JD. Oh, so you could do two things. You could open the package in here, and it shows you this here. You can also just double click on that Moss item here, and it'll load down here. Okay, so that's what I thought. This is Avita. Avita is the playback server they use in Virginia Beach for news and club. So that's their placeholder for that. If you remember, there's an option for clips here. We could run all our clips. We don't have a Moss server for playback. TriCaster is our playback server. So we're not going to use any playback options inside of here. They use Avita as their playback server. So there's a Moss plugin for that. So that's what this element is here. It loads. They can pull up any story they see here. And I think this is why there's that 8-character limit, because their Avita plugin only shows 8 characters, is my guess. No, because if you notice, there's a Moss expression tab, and this opened an Avita tab. So exactly. So that would be, if you go to Moss Array Send, you'll have to have Avita selected for them to use it, but that one won't affect us. So someone obviously came to our rundown and added this to our rundown. Maybe, and then they probably realized, wait, why is it not my show? Then they copy the whole thing to their show, and so it's the first time I've ever seen someone do that in our stuff. Yeah. So then we could also, back to the layout thing, we can go to columns. We could take the final approval, I think it is. We can move it somewhere, maybe to the top, and that way the final box is right there, so it's checked. I like having it over here. It's a small one instead of being on the far side. But then as you add the item slug, you can make it smaller, so then that way your times are still in the same window. It doesn't get too big, you lose your duration times.
I know, because I really like this.
Yeah, at this point we could. So you just come over here, you hit talent, and you hit the back to the available fields. So once I find out from VB how we can change our templates, basically I ask them, can we do it? Previously, like, we're the only ones who can change it. It's like one person. It'd be nice if we had access to it, because that way, as our workflows ebb and flow, we can change things and adjust things without having to get all that. So we'll once I know how to do that, we'll customize this so that everyone has the same view. Yep. Okay, so that's how you use the XPression plugin for all of our shows and building graphics. Yeah. Okay, so now we will go to the one last element, which is the control surfaces. For this, I will. No, you can just slide this way. Oh yeah, no, you're right. I guess I'll come in the middle. You're right. Right. Okay. I'll use our third device for our third camera. Okay, I'm gonna turn the camera on. Ah, my face. Okay. These are dirty. Pet peeve. Okay, so we have the Stream Deck here. If I open this, you can see it better. I'll add focus. Lovely. Okay, there's our Stream Deck. These are all programmed through the Stream Deck app from the XPression computer. This Stream Deck is connected directly to the Stream Deck, sorry, to the XPression computer. That's fine. I'm needing a little bit. I should have. Oh, Chris has my tripod, or I'd use that. So sorry for the shaky footage. Yeah, no, right. It's fine. I'm just gonna, because I'm gonna move around anyway a little bit. Okay, so we have take offline, take next, and take. These are the main three that we'll be using. Oh, or I guess I five. Previous next item as well. But for the most of the shows, like JD, we'll have currently just 5 graphics. We'll have Chris in there 4 times, and then cbnews.com at the end. So, recording my voice? Yes, okay, great. If we open up XPression here, the screen suddenly goes away. You'll see we have our rundown here. Yeah. So we have next. If I hit the next button, it goes to the next one, and previous item goes to the previous. As you change between next and previous, it shows you your preview of what's there. And here I'm just hitting next and previous to go between the different scenes that are there. Whichever scene is selected, so whichever one's the blue bar is on, it shows you the preview, obviously. And then take will actually take it online. So I'll just go up here. When I hit take, it takes it online. If you want to take it offline, that's what the take offline button is for. Now, take offline will also take it offline, but it will also move to the next item in the show. So here we'll just take it so you can kind of see what's going on. We'll take it, and when I hit take offline, you'll see that it actually will take it offline and move to the next item in the sequence. So that just prepares you for your next element. So if you're doing a JD, which we can't load now because our XPression or Moss server is not working, you'll have Chris Mitchell, and then your next one, whatever's in your show. So you got take, it takes it online, and then take offline will take that one off and move you to the next graphic in your show. But it's not live, correct? Correct. So it moves to the next item, which is basically the next item command. It just goes to your next one. So that way, if you hit, if there was a take but it didn't move you forward, you'd have to hit take offline and go to the next item. It'd be 2 button presses. So this is a, yeah. So if you look on the keyboard here, we've got 3 things: take offline, take and next, and take. So this is the default layout that XPression sends it with. So we recreated that here on our Stream Deck. Take offline, take and next, and take. If we look over here, I'll hit take next, and you'll see it'll take the currently selected item online and go to the next, advance to the next selection. So that way you're ready for your next graphic also. So say you have multiple, like this is used for if you're using titles. and you want to keep the same super app, but you're changing the text that's on there.
So you're gonna take next to that one.
Correct. Take next. So for our show, we're generally just doing take, and then when we take it offline, it'll advance for us. But if we're doing for some of our YouTube lives, we're changing the graphics while it's still up. That's where take and next can be handy because you can hit take next. It loads the next item. Take next. It loads the next item. Exactly. Saves button pushes. So. Correct. The versus as well is take next, exactly. Because I'm going through a 7 of graphics. I don't want to hit take and then next, take and next. Take and next is one command. So, yeah, honestly, these are pretty straightforward. You've got a couple other buttons which we won't really reuse. You have clear channel. Problem is, it pops up a window over here. So then you have to go back to the keyboard and select which channel you want to clear. So some of these I'm probably going to adjust. Assign channel. So this is where, if we had a weird graphic came in, we could assign it to our frame buffer 1. But all of ours are preset for frame buffer 1, so that's not a problem. Currently, to use any of these buttons, XPression has to be open and be the top program here. If I were to open up, like say I loaded this XPression rundown controller, none of my buttons on my Stream Deck are going to work now. Next, nothing works. So you have to make sure that XPression is the topmost open program for these buttons on the Stream Deck to work. I just today finally found the actual XPression plugin for Stream Deck. I'm hoping that once I get those working, it doesn't have to be like the main program that's already open, like the top program, but I have to work on that. Currently, XPression has to be the top program for any of these buttons here to work. So, same as, just think of this as a keyboard. You have the take buttons here, take next, offline. If I'm in a different program, these buttons will do nothing because the program I want to use them in is not actually active. So you have to have XPression active, and then these buttons will all work. So, yeah, the operation is pretty simple. If you ever get to an issue where you just need clear all, there's a clear all button there. Just takes everything off altogether. No matter what's up, no matter where it is. But the clear all actually cuts everything. If you use take offline right here, you'll see it uses your dissolve transition, your out transition. If I do just a clear all, and for reference, clear all is in the top left of the keyboard over here. It says clear outputs. Oh, there we go, clear outputs. That button is the same as clear all here. So, but if I hit this, it just cuts. It's kind of like what's going on? Take it offline. It's an emergency button, like a kill switch, basically. So it doesn't abide by any transitions or automation or anything. It just takes everything offline right away. Yeah, that's it. You see here, there's a lot more buttons. You can see here there's next and previous, our set layers, clear channels. I was recreating this, but we don't really need those, so I'll probably remove those. But there's a lot more operations here. These are all just function keys that are presets. As you learn more or get more in depth, you'll start using more of these buttons, or you can. But general operation, a general operator is take offline, take next, and take. That's all you. Correct. Or if we have a dedicated graphics operator, he can run it here. This Stream Deck is mainly so that the director can do it all in one. Because as you know, our graphics used to be here or here. We had them here too. But now their control is all in this Stream Deck 4. So. That'd be great.
Wow, that'd be great.
Well, that's what, for YouTube Live. I'm the graphics operator.
I know.
Yeah. So yeah. Yep. Probably need another editor. Yeah, true. I think from my side, that's yeah. So I think from my side, I think that's all the general thing. Any questions or I'll be available most days of the week, exception of the weekends and holidays for questions. But if you're doing a live, if you're doing production on the weekend or holiday and you have a question, I'm available. Just if there's no production, you have a question. If you have a production and it's on the weekend or holiday, don't call me until Monday. So I will stop this meeting and we can talk offline too, but let's here we will stop the recording.